Fertility comes from a place of abundance, according to Chinese medicine. When the body is abundant with resources that it needs to thrive, fertility comes naturally. If you are thinking about becoming pregnant, even if it might be a year or more away, this is an episode that you will want to hear now so your body is ready when you are ready to start trying. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your menstrual health, offering period solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reproductive Rebel podcast. We are taking a look at different phases of a woman's life, different cornerstone aspects of moving through our reproductive years from when we start our bleeding years until they come to a conclusion. And this week we are looking at a topic that is near and dear to my heart. We are talking about the fertility journey. Now, this topic is an exciting one. It can be a daunting one. It can be a heartbreaking one. And so I just wanted to kind of hold base at the beginning of this episode and let you all know that wherever you are at in this journey, if you are on a fertility journey, I see you. And this journey is not as easy as we are led to believe in the early years of our reproductive life. Some people are blessed to not have any struggles, but there is a staggering number of women who really struggle with getting pregnant, staying pregnant, recovering from pregnancy, challenges during pregnancy. And so I think it is important to acknowledge that there are a large number of women that do struggle with the fertility journey in some way, and you are not alone. So let's talk about fertility from a Chinese medicine perspective. Fertility comes from a place of abundance. So this means that your body has all of the tools that it needs to function optimally, that none of your body's resources are being stolen because of high amounts of stress or, poor eating habits or anything like that. So stress management is important, diet, lifestyle, all of these kinds of things are important part of being able to get pregnant successfully and carry a pregnancy successfully to term. So one of the hardest parts for me about working with people on the fertility journey, and, for any of you who've been following the show for a while, you know that my fertility journey has not been smooth. I have had multiple miscarriages, and I know all too well the heartache of, this is supposed to be the most basic biological function in a woman's body. Why is it that my body isn't doing this? My whole practice was founded around the question marks that I wasn't getting from the Western model around why my body kept losing babies. I could get pregnant, but I couldn't stay pregnant. So fertility is a core part of my practice and a topic that is one that is near and dear to my heart, both because I just sing along with you and happy dance along with you when you get pregnant. It's one of the brightest stars in the sky for me, honestly, when it comes to doing this work. but it's also the most personal to me as well because all of my research and the work that I do comes from the bottom of my heart so that others don't experience what I experienced. So, the hardest part for me as I'm watching people on their fertility journeys is quite often by the time they've decided that they're ready to have a baby, they haven't laid any groundwork first. So I have a lot of women that reach out to me after they've been struggling for a little while. And they're like, hey, I've been trying. I haven't been able to get pregnant. Can you help me? And one of the thing, and I mean, of course, my answer is yes, I would love to help you because this is one of the reasons I started this practice in the first place. But then the question becomes, are you willing to take a little bit of a pause while we work on making sure that your body is in the healthiest place it can possibly be to get pregnant? And that's where a lot of people pause and they backpedal and they're not really excited about what I have to say. So I am releasing this episode to let you know that it is important to do groundwork ahead of time. So whether you want to get pregnant next month, next year, it's a couple years off, please, 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 I invite you to consider how important it is to do the groundwork before trying to conceive. And there's a lot of reasons for this. So, one of these things is you are what you eat. And I don't mean to be punny, but the quality of the food that you're eating, what you're eating, and how you're eating it is a really important part in the fertility equation. It is. Another piece I definitely want to highlight because there are a huge number of women who have been on birth control, hormonal birth control, at some point in the early part of their reproductive life and when they come off of that birth control, a lot of times the message from their Western doctor is that you can have one cycle and then try to start getting pregnant. You don't have to wait. Well, here's the thing, the longer that your hormone cadence has been arrested by birth control, and yes, that's what it does, it interrupts a healthy hormone process in a body. It does not allow for the hypothalamus pituitary ovarian axis to operate the way that it normally would. It intentionally creates disruption in order to prevent pregnancy. That's how the medication works. Well, the more years that you are creating that interruption, it takes your body a little bit of time to get back into a regular cadence. So the longer you've been on birth control, the longer it generally takes for you to start ovulating regularly again. Not in all cases. Again, like I said, these are overarching concepts, and all of these things need to be discussed one on one with a practitioner in your particular circumstances. But, just so that you are aware, you haven't been ovulating if you've been on birth control for a prolonged period of time, depending on what kind of birth control you've been on anyway. And that does affect the success rate of trying to get pregnant and how long it takes to get pregnant. Hormonal birth control also leaches key nutrients out of your system. The medication literally steals it from you. And a lot of those minerals and nutrients, like chromium, selenium, magnesium, and zinc, just to name a few, are really critical in the fertility equation. So, when you have been operating at a deficit with these things over 10 plus years, which a lot of women have been on hormonal birth control that long, you are looking at a delayed start to the ovulatory process, and you won't necessarily get pregnant the first time you try. So, the definition by the American Gynecological Association of needing fertility intervention is if you've been trying for 6 months with unprotected sex and you have not been successful at getting pregnant. Well, what's not factored into that equation is, have you been on birth control for 10 years? Well, there's a high likelihood that you're not ovulating by the time you reach that 6 month mark. You might not have even had one full ovulatory cycle at that point. So, number of years you've been on birth control really is important. It needs to be factored into the equation. So manage your expectations accordingly, I guess is really where I'm going with this. Hormonal birth control, what you're eating, things like technology, laptops on laps, cell phones in pocket, those kinds of things affect fertility for both men and women. Underlying conditions like PCOS, hypothalamic amenorrhea, endometriosis, and cysts are all things to take into consideration. So, okay, how are we going to get our body into this fertile, abundant place? Well, I want to just let you know that this show is only going to give overarching concepts. If you are interested in really doing the prep work the right way, I invite you to check out my course catalog. It will take you step by step through body basics, which is going to give you all of the parts of your cycle and how they function. Not Your Mama's Menstrual Course will take you through the phases of your cycle in terms of how you care for each phase of your cycle, what you eat in each phase of your cycle, how you exercise, and more. Then that all sets the groundwork for empowered fertility. Empowered fertility is all about getting both partners in the equation ready for this conception journey. There is a part for him and a part for her. So, regardless of how you identify, when I use gender markers, I'm talking about it from the biological perspective, right? So, who's contributing the sperm and who's contributing the egg in the equation. Both partners in the equation really need to take a look at empowered fertility. There is a section for both in terms of tests you might want to have done to make sure that you've checked all the boxes and you know everything is working properly going into the process. Because, empowered fertility came out of the heartbreak of some of my clients who would walk in the door and they had been trying for 2 years and had no idea that their partner's sperm was not functioning properly. They kept trying and trying and trying. She had internalized that the problem was her all of that time. Think about how hard that is when every month your bleed shows up and you tell yourself there's something wrong with you or that you failed somehow. I know that that message is resonating for some of you. I know that it did for me. And, not having a semen analysis done for your partner, you could totally be missing one of the biggest pieces of your equation, not knowing what you don't know. So, Empowered Fertility, that course was designed from essentially the heartache of a lot of my clients where they're like, I wish I had known at the beginning, fill in the blank. I wish my doctor had suggested. I wish I had been told. I wish I knew, right? That course answers all of those questions. And they came from women just like you, husbands and wives, just like your situation, right? I used your voices to create that course so that it was something that was meaningful. You could take proactive steps today to improve your fertility and really be ready when you guys were both ready to try to conceive. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I've been on my journey for a little while now, like, do I still need it? The answer is yes. And the answer is yes, because even when you've been trying for a little while, and even when you've been to a few doctors, you would still be really surprised what people don't know about successful conception. So I would highly recommend checking out Empowered Fertility. I'm including the link in the show notes below. But part of what we cover in that course is food is medicine for both partners. So we talk about what kinds of foods are important. Controlling inflammation is important. Dark leafy greens are important for both, right? So when you're looking at creating successful conception, lifestyle and diet are a big part of it because if your body thinks that you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and is in that fight or flight state, the body is not going to feel like it is safe enough in order to get pregnant. Okay. And the resources get diverted in other places so that your body gets away from the tiger. Right. So your primal brain only has two functions, survive and procreate, and survive will always win. So if you have 100 unanswered emails in your inbox and that number is stressing you out, it kicks you into survive mode. Your body can't tell the difference between actually being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and the fact that it only emails and there's really no threat. You have the same biochemical response that happens in your system. And if your brain is stuck in survive, it will be unable to procreate. All right. So, lifestyle, folks, I cannot stress enough, even for both partners. It doesn't matter. Both partners, stress management is critically important. Taking time to meditate, exercise to reduce stress and improve circulation, but not exercising to an extreme. I mean, I've had people that have come through my practice that are very physically fit. I would just die to have their physique, but it isn't conducive to making a baby. So, exercise should energize. It shouldn't deplete you. And if you're feeling absolutely exhausted after your workouts or you need pre-workout in order to function properly, then you're exercising outside of the parameters of what your body has energy for. So you want to exercise to energize because it reduces the stress equation. It improves circulation. Circulation is important in terms of healthy gamete development, reducing alcohol intake, being mindful of how you use technology. All of those kinds of things are really important in terms of the health and wellness of both partners. So, being mindful of what you're eating, how you're eating it, how is your digestion? What does your cycle look like? So, if your cycle is 28 to 30 days, fresh red blood only, there's no PMS beforehand. There's no exhaustion that hits you. It's normal to be a little fatigued during your period, but not mind numbing exhaustion where you have a hard time to function and get out of bed. If you are not seeing any clots, if you are not having any cramps or brown blood, and your period is arriving every 28 to 30 days, then you're probably in a position that you could consider trying to get pregnant. But let me let you in on a little secret. The vast majority of people in Western culture don't have that cycle. And that's normal, unfortunately. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that our world is moving faster than it's ever moved before. Like I said about the saber-toothed tiger, our body cannot tell the difference between being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and having 100 unanswered emails in our inbox. It's stressed out. And now let's add in on top of it, we're overscheduled. We don't sleep well. We eat things on the go. We eat a lot of processed food. We sit with laptops on our laps and cell phones in our pockets. Do you see where I'm going with all of this? Our modern lifestyle really works against the fertility equation in a lot of ways. And it doesn't have to. But what it does mean is educating yourself about practices to be mindful of, because your body, your fertility is going to come from a place of abundance. So you have the ability to influence the quality of sperm and egg before you try to conceive. So sperm development happens on a 90-day window. So, how that man, biological man, right? I'm not talking about identity, I'm talking about biology. How that man has worked, lived their life. Are they super stressed out, feel under supported, are working too many hours? Is that person drinking a lot of Mountain Dew and just to stay awake because they're working too many hours? They keep their cell phone in their front pocket, right? So, all of these behaviors that the male partner has going into the conception equation, starting 90 days before the night that you're trying, 90 days before that time is when your sperm development starts being influenced by your diet and lifestyle. For women, the egg develops on a 120-day window. And you have the same ability to influence the quality of that egg starting 90 days prior to the night that it ovulated. Okay. So even people who are in their late 30s, early 40s, who are feeling like they're getting to the game late, and that, there's a little low level stress that comes with that. Oh, I want to have a baby and I feel like it's too late for me because Western medicine says that once I'm 35, I'm too old for this. Don't think about that. Okay. Because in Eastern culture, they used to have babies up until menopause with ease. And that was not an issue at all. So a lot of it has to do with our modern lifestyle and diet. So reducing our stress, making sure that we are mindful of certain things that we have in our diet. This is not going to be super popular with my meat freers, but hear me out. Egg quality and your blood, the quality of your blood during your menses is very heavily influenced by what you eat. So having things like bone broth, having organ meat. Now, I don't know about you, but not everybody can stomach organ meat. Some people love it, and my hat's off to you. I wish I could eat it all month long because I would rather eat it rather than take it as a desiccated supplement. But not all of us can eat it. And I witness you if you were one of those people. So, desiccated liver supplements are a great way to get organ meat into your life in a way that is more palatable. Cod liver oil. I love fermented cod liver oil. It works very, very well in terms of improving egg quality and making sure that you have all of the building blocks that you need for healthy blood and creating a nice, healthy egg for ovulation. So, these are just some of the things that we talk about in that empowered fertility course that I talk about with my VIP clients. We take a deep dive into what kinds of foods are going to influence the building blocks that you are contributing to your baby. Because think about it, Chinese medicine really believes that there's two different types of qi, that there is qi that you inherit from your parents, and there is qi that you get from your environment. Okay, that is food, lifestyle, the way that you're moving through the world, all of those kinds of things. So, you have a powerful opportunity to influence the health and longevity of your baby by taking steps right now to make sure that you have optimal egg and sperm quality when you conceive. Then look at the body itself. If your period is coming from this abundant, fresh red blood place, that the period is coming on time, you have a nice, healthy luteal phase, all of these things, you're able to hold a pregnancy and carry a pregnancy to term. You're not going to feel as tired. You're going to have a lower chance of nausea in your first trimester if you are well resourced going into your pregnancy. Your baby is literally going to be healthier and happier. Who doesn't want that? But we live in a culture where we're impatient. We expect everything to be an Amazon Prime solution yesterday, right? And the unfortunate reality is that all good things come to those who wait. Man, I'm full of all kinds of fortune cookie sounding stuff today, right? It's really true though. If you are willing to do the legwork and make a meaningful change in the quality of your health and your partner's quality of health, you're going to have a healthy baby that's going to sleep better, be less colicky, because Chinese medicine believes that, what you're contributing to your baby affects their disposition, but also your emotional state while you're pregnant affects the outcome of the baby's health as well. So, learning these practices for stress reduction, for example, is going to help you have a healthy pregnancy and it's going to help you have a healthy baby. And your subsequent postpartum recovery will be a little more ease filled. Okay. So, fertility comes from a place of abundance. Your body needs to be abundant with resources, with chi or the vital energy needed for your egg and sperm quality. If you really take the time to do those things, you will find that once you are ready to try, which that can be completely told by the quality of your period, right? So I tell people, like, your body gives you an organic computer printout every month. Your period will literally tell you, are you in an abundant place, able to have a baby, or are there going to be potential challenges, right? So if your period is lasting 4 to 5 days, fresh red blood only, no cramps, no clots, no emotional symptoms, nothing, arriving every 28 to 30 days, symptom free, just gently comes, medium flow, gets a little heavier, comes down into medium to light flow, and then cruises to the finish line. That is a period that is coming from a place of abundance. Your body is well resourced. It has all the things it needs. It can just gracefully execute the period, and you're ready to get pregnant. So, if you are interested in learning more information about setting your fertility up for success, please, please, please check out my course catalog. The link is in the show notes. These courses come from voices just like yours. Every single one of these courses is not something that came from me. It is something that clients of mine, my VIP clients, have asked me to share with the world. I wish I knew before I started trying, fill in the blank. Okay. That is what empowered fertility is. It is to put you in the driver's seat of your fertility so that when you're ready to try, it is not a long, arduous journey to get that happy, healthy baby in your arms. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Reproductive Rebel podcast. Join us as we continue our journey through the Chinese medicine perspective around other aspects of our reproductive health. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist, herbalist, sound healer, and Chinese nutritional therapist Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment with Adrienne for one-on-one support, ordering from our store, or checking out our course offerings, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter to get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like us and follow Moon Essence Me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Your voices make this program possible. Thank you all for your continued support.